We will examine the term black as an identity, exploring its origins, significance, and evolution among individuals of African descent.
There is no such thing as a race. Nature created no races. Man created races, racial classifications, and he had his own reason for doing it. Now, who benefited from this artificial creation at first? Who benefits from it now?
Many people might think that the concept of black identity first emerged during the slave trade and colonial times due to the way others saw people of African descent. However, the roots of identifying as black go much further back in history. In ancient times, even before the era of the pharaohs of Kemet, Africans were already embracing their skin color as a key part of their identity. They used words like kem or kam, which mean charcoal or black, to describe themselves. This term is similar to words in many modern African languages that also signify black. The ancient Egyptians, known for their advanced civilization along the Nile, saw their skin color as central to their identity. They referred to their land as Kemet, the Black Country, and themselves as Kami or Kamit, meaning the blacks. But why was this so important to them? This sacred view of their skin color is why gods and deities in ancient Egyptian culture were often depicted as black. Far from being a mere physical attribute, the black skin was celebrated as a sacred and positive trait, a mark of the divine. In the ancient temple of Hatshepsut, one can find depictions of Imana or Amen, revered as the singular deity of Africa, presented in a male form with a black skin tone. A notable figure who demonstrated deep devotion to Imana was Ramesu Maryamana, known to many as Rameses II. Throughout his reign, Rameses II is recorded to have offered fervent prayers to Imana, seeking divine protection over what was referred to as the Black Land, a term symbolizing the wealth and prosperity of his people. However, as the glorious eras of the Nile Valley civilizations came to an end, so did this self-perception rooted in divine connection and spiritual identity.
The location of Kemet is where? There is no such thing like Near East. There is no Near East. It's on the continent, African continent. Kemet is there. Also, people who built this civilization, they were which kind of, let's say, phenotype, which kind of a color. So we discussed that too, and we agree it was black people who built that. African people in ancient time who built this civilization. It was obvious.
In late antiquity, the term Ethiopian was used by Greeks, derived from the words meaning burnt face, to categorize all black people indiscriminately. This label marked the beginning of an era where identity was increasingly defined by outsiders. Following the Greeks, the Romans introduced the term Moor to refer to black individuals, further entrenching the practice of identifying Africans through external labels. Similarly, the Arabs adopted the word Sudan to denote black people, a term that literally translates to black. This transition marked a significant shift from an era where black identity was celebrated and divinely connected, to a period where it was defined and often diminished by others. The evolution of these terms reflects a broader historical narrative of changing perceptions and the imposition of external identities onto African peoples.
So I only have one way to say Africa, and that's the wrong way. Because I don't care if you spell it with a K or Q, it still isn't proper. The continent of Africa was called by the Greeks. As far as I can research, Alkebulan would be Ortega, Hesperia, Amonis, Libya, Ethiopia. Those names were all used before the name Africa. So I will say that for everyone using them, he or she must have had his particular reason for using them towards the continent. I can't find a way in which the continent was called by the people before Christian era, except those names that I've mentioned. And in all cases, they're all incorrect. Incorrect because the African people never called the continent a particular name. If you want to say the time of the Christian era or the Common Era, they called it a particular name, I can go along with you, and then we can use Africa.
Back in the days of empires and kingdoms stretching across Africa, people identified themselves by their ethnic group. The concept of being African or black wasn't a part of how they saw themselves. People were known as Mandinka, Congo, Oromo, Yoruba, and so on. This sense of identity created strong bonds within ethnic groups and among those who shared the same faith. But there wasn't a widespread sense of unity just because people had the same skin color. The idea that blacks sold their brothers into slavery oversimplifies a complex situation. It's important to remember that European powers like Portugal destroyed many African kingdoms and empires that opposed the slave trade. Those who did engage in trading humans mostly sold prisoners of war from different ethnic groups. To a trader, a captive from another ethnic group was a foreigner, not a fellow African or someone they felt a shared identity with. The journey to the Americas marked the beginning of a harrowing chapter for Africans. Upon arrival, they faced unimaginable horrors as slaves. Their names were erased and replaced with those of their European enslavers. Families were torn apart, with children separated from their parents and sold. Many enslaved people ended up not knowing their ethnic origins, only that they were from the continent known to Europeans as Africa. In America, enslaved Africans faced brutal discrimination and violence, justified by their captors through degrading stereotypes about their skin color. Over time, amidst this shared suffering, a new sense of community began to form among the enslaved, based on their African roots, black skin, and collective experience of oppression. It's from these shared experiences that the modern black identity was forged, a testament to resilience and solidarity in the face of inhumanity. The terminology used to refer to black individuals in America has evolved significantly over the centuries, mirroring the changing social, political, and cultural landscapes. Initially, terms like Negroes and Moors were used, rooted in European languages and reflecting the early interactions between Europeans and Africans. By the 19th century, colored and Negro became prevalent, with the latter gaining formal recognition towards the century's end and persisting into the 20th century, especially during the civil rights movements. The term black surged in popularity during the 1960s, symbolizing pride, strength, and a collective identity, closely tied to the Black Power movement. In contrast, African American emerged as a preferred term in the late 20th century, highlighting the community's connection to their African heritage, with significant figures like Jesse Jackson advocating for its use. Today, African American and Black are used interchangeably, though each carries its unique connotations and historical significance. These shifts in terminology not only reflect changes in societal attitudes, but also the African American community's ongoing journey towards self-definition and empowerment in the face of enduring racism. The evolution from Negroes to African American or Black illustrates a deepening understanding of identity, heritage, and the fight for racial equality in America. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, a powerful idea called Pan-Africanism started to take root in America. This movement aimed to bring together Black and African people from around the globe to fight for freedom and justice, particularly in response to the harsh realities of oppression and colonization. As Africans faced brutal colonization and the racist ideologies used to justify slavery, they found a shared sense of brotherhood and struggle. Amidst these challenges, the idea that Black people needed to unite and define themselves against the backdrop of white supremacy gained strength. This unity was seen as essential for fighting against the dehumanizing views and policies they were subjected to. The Pan-African movement, a beacon of hope and solidarity for people of African descent, has been championed by an illustrious roster of leaders whose visions have transcended borders and generations. W.E.B. Du Bois laid the groundwork for civil rights and African independence, organizing congresses that became forums for advocating African and African American rights. Marcus Garvey, from Jamaica, ignited a global call for Black pride and economic self-sufficiency, dreaming of a unified African nation. Ghana's Kwame Nkrumah emerged as a symbol of African sovereignty, steering his country to independence and advocating for continental unity against colonialism. The legacy of Patrice Lumumba, the Democratic Republic of the Congo's first prime minister, endures as a poignant reminder of the struggles against colonial exploitation, marking the bittersweet journey of Africa's independence. Julius Nyerere of Tanzania and Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya each contributed to shaping the post-colonial narrative, emphasizing unity, socialism, and economic self-reliance. Ethiopia's Haile Selassie became a global symbol of African independence and dignity, advocating for cooperation among the newly independent states. In the United States, Malcolm X championed a more militant vision of Black empowerment, linking the civil rights movement with global anti-colonial struggles, while Cheikh Anta Diop of Senegal worked tirelessly to affirm Africa's place in world history, promoting a Pan-African identity rooted in shared history and culture. W.E.B. Du Bois was a cornerstone in the Pan-African movement, weaving together intellectual insights, organizational prowess, and a deep commitment to the unity and freedom of African peoples globally. His seminal concept of double consciousness captured the profound struggle of African Americans navigating their dual heritage, resonating deeply with the Pan-African call for a transcendent collective identity. Du Bois's leadership was instrumental in the Pan-African Congresses, pivotal gatherings that spanned from 1919 to 1945, uniting voices from Africa, the Americas, Europe, and the Caribbean in a shared quest for liberation and self-determination. These congresses, especially the inaugural one in Paris, aligned with the Versailles Peace Conference, spotlighting the urgent need for African independence and the rights of Black people worldwide. A vocal advocate for the sovereignty of African nations, Du Bois firmly believed that the fate of African Americans was inextricably linked to Africa's destiny. His tireless work laid the intellectual and strategic groundwork for the decolonization wave that would sweep across Africa in the 20th century, marking him as a progenitor of both the African independence movements and the American civil rights struggle. Du Bois's enduring legacy in Pan-Africanism is marked by his visionary approach to uniting African descendants under a common cause, striving for a world where discrimination and exploitation are relics of the past. His efforts not only shaped the intellectual contours of Pan-Africanism, but also inspired generations to continue the fight for justice and unity among all African peoples. Marcus Garvey, a charismatic leader from Jamaica, became a central figure in promoting Pan-Africanism. He envisioned a united Black community under a shared faith, working together to build a powerful nation in Africa. This nation would serve as a stronghold for both Africans and African Americans. Garvey's ideas included creating a common culture or religion to foster unity and constructing a significant state in Africa for protection and empowerment. An interesting fact about Garvey's movement was its wide-reaching influence, including on individuals like Earl Little, Malcolm X's father, showing the movement's profound impact on future generations of Black leaders. Garvey also introduced the Pan-Africanist flag, a symbol designed to represent Black unity worldwide, with its colors red, black, and green symbolizing the blood shed for liberation, Black skin, and Africa's natural riches, respectively. This flag, adopted by Garvey's Universal Negro Improvement Association, UNIA, on August 13, 1920, remains a powerful symbol of the Pan-Africanist movement to this day. While Garvey laid down foundational ideas for Pan-Africanism, he acknowledged the movement's limitations, notably how to implement his vision of a common culture or build a strong African state, since he never visited Africa.
What organization is that? It is for me to inform you that the Universal Negro Improvement Association is an organization that seeks to unite into one solid body the 400 million Negroes of the world, to link up the 15 million Negroes of the United States of America with the 20 million Negroes of the West Indies, the 40 million Negroes of South and Central America with the 280 million Negroes of Africa, for the purpose of bettering our industrial, commercial, educational, social, and political conditions. There are 400 million Africans in the world who have Negro blood coursing through their veins. And we believe that the time has come to unite these 400 million people, Negro race. But within the last 4 years, the Universal Negro Improvement Association has worked wonders in bringing together in one fold 4 million organized Negroes who are scattered in all parts of the world, being in the 48 states of the American Union, all the West Indian Islands, and the countries of South and Central America and Africa. These 4 million people are working to convert the rest of the 400 million scattered all over the world. And it is for this purpose that we are asking you to join our ranks and to do the best you can to help us to bring about an emancipated race. If anything praiseworthy is to be done, it must be done through unity. And it is for that reason that the Universal Negro Improvement Association calls upon every Negro in the United States to rally to its standards. We want to unite the Negro race in this country. We want every Negro to work for one common object, that of building a nation of his own on the great continent of Africa. That all Negroes all over the world are working for the establishment of a government in Africa means that it will be realized in another few years. We want the moral and financial support of every Negro to make the dream a possibility. Already, this organization has established itself in Liberia, West Africa, and is endeavoring to do all possible to develop that Negro country to become a great industrial and commercial commonwealth. Pioneers have been sent by this organization to Liberia, and they are now laying the foundations upon which the 400 million Negroes of the world will build. If you believe that the Negro has a soul, if you believe that the Negro is a man, if you believe the Negro was endowed with the senses commonly given to other men by the Creator, then you must acknowledge that what other men have done, Negroes can do. We want to build up cities, nations, governments, industries of our own in Africa, so that we'll be able to have a chance to rise from the lowest to the highest positions in the African Commonwealth.
It was up to thinkers like Cheikh Anta Diop to advance Pan-Africanist ideas and address these gaps, contributing to the movement's evolution and enduring legacy. Cheikh Anta Diop, a towering figure in the world of Pan-Africanism, made his way to Europe in the 1940s, inspired by the likes of Marcus Garvey. Diop was deeply committed to the fight against brutal colonization, but had his sights set on the broader long-term objectives of Pan-Africanism. He embarked on a quest to find the shared roots of black people, pinpointing ancient Egyptian civilization as a major source of cultural and historical identity for Africans. Diop argued that the rich heritage of Egypt was key to uniting black people across the globe. He believed in building a sense of brotherhood through the ancient Egyptian values of the one god Imana and the principle of Mahat, which emphasizes truth, balance, order, and harmony in all aspects of life. Diop envisioned a united African state governed by these principles, a federation of African nations grounded in Ma'at. Diop also embraced the Ankh symbol, representing life and the enduring nature of African identity, as long as Ma'at's values were upheld. He proposed Kiswahili as the federal language of this envisioned state, aiming to preserve the diverse cultural and linguistic identities within a unified Afrocentric framework. This approach not only furthered the Pan-Africanist agenda, but also offered a tangible plan for African unity. Today, the question remains, is it still necessary to identify as black? In a world where racism, from subtle microaggressions to overt discrimination, persists, embracing a black identity with Afrocentric positivity becomes a means of self-defense and empowerment. Racism often seeks to diminish black people, relegating them to the margins of history and culture. By affirming a black identity grounded in the rich history and cultural achievements of Africa, individuals can counteract these negative stereotypes and reclaim a sense of dignity and self-worth. The legacy of figures like Cheikh Anta Diop reminds us that black identity is not just relevant, but vital. It serves as a foundation for strength and resilience in the face of global challenges and aggression. By continuing to pursue the ideals of Pan-Africanism and Afrocentricity, Black people can protect their future and create a space of joy and fulfillment. In today's world, being Black is not only a matter of identity, but also a statement of unity and purpose. We would like to say a special thank you to our channel members, Nubian storytellers. Keep spreading the truth about African history. Let me know your thoughts on the question of our Blackness. I am looking forward to learning from you. We are one global Black family. Be Black and proud. Until the lions have their own historians, the tales of the hunt will always glorify the hunter.